Well, before we start this, let's say thank you to Manor Bagel Cafe for making this episode possible. We're right here in the patio, so if you are out there and looking for a place to go and have a coffee, this is it, 46 Warburton Avenue. Our guests today are Hector Santiago, the connector. I don't know what he connects, but he does connect. Maddie, right? And Whitted. I had to work on the Whitted, but I got it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all activists, all community leaders, and they all have something important to say. Today we are going to talk about certain things affecting not just Yonkers, but the nation as a whole, and what can we do, okay, to minimize or help our community. So, Hector, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, even though everybody knows you. But tell me a little bit about yourself. What have you done, lately? Not in a too long of an explanation, because we want to captivate our audience.
So most recently, as everyone knows, I started the Stopandshake program a long time ago. But most recently, I moved the Stopandshake program from focusing on police and community, and focused more on interpersonal communication. So we do anti-bullying, we do gender equality, and we do a lot of community building, because one of my favorite quotes, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a bunch of loving relationships to create the village. So I'm trying to bring that love back to the community.
Good thing. Maddie, you guys know Maddie. She organized the walk piece of last week or 2 weeks ago, Maddie? 2 weeks ago. It was a success. It was a way to start. Now, we hope that the next time around, we will have more involvement from the community. We need to get off Facebook for a while, get off, social platforms, and get involved, be part of the solution, not just talk about the problem. Helicopter overhead, so let it go. Let's go it. So we need to be part of the solution. We need to find ways of, if not resolving, minimizing the problem. So Maddie, tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. And so guys, I want to first start by apologizing to the Nolan family for not sending them a personal invite. I'm very sorry about that. I am holding another peace walk June 8th, and I'd love for you guys to come. Also, you guys, message Donna Nolan, because she's doing something on June 7th against gun violence, and she'd really love you guys' support at City Hall. So if you guys could please be there for her, I appreciate that. So my name is Maddie Cheatham-Walker, and I'm the founder of Pamela's Big Heart. I wanted to take a moment to let you guys know that I do have mentoring opportunities available for the following programs: supplies for kids, lunches for homeless, community Christmas party, and community baby shower. And so if anybody wants to come and mentor for those. Also soon at the Power Lab, I will have a program for teen moms. Also, I'm looking for moms who can mentor those teen moms and let them know that, life is not hard, they can get past this with the right guidance and the right support. I also wanted to take a moment to talk about the violence in the community, and I did see a decrease after the walk that we had. And so I wanted to thank everyone for stepping up and doing their part. So thank you very much.
And this is Whitted. Whitted is a young community leader as well. He's going to be participating in this conversation, because we want to talk about the root causes, possible solutions, what's wrong, what can we do better. So Whitted, introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm Whitted. Basically what I do, I'm going to keep it short, I do basically events for the community. For instance, I host battle rap leagues, and I do artist showcases for the young kids in the community. And then I'm really in the community.
So now let's take a dive. Let's take a dive here. Is crime in Yonkers going up or it's going down? And I'm going to ask you this because data in our community is data driven. The data shows that crime is going down. But we know more about crime nowadays than we used to know before. Right. Is it because crime is going up, or is it because of people like I that are going around and we film everything, so everything gets the double exposure that you used to get 5, 10 years from now, ago? So is it going up or is it going down and just getting more exposure?
I would honestly say that it is it's getting more exposure to crime in Yonkers, and I do thank places or sources like Yonkers Voice for actually giving us Yonkers people a voice, the people who live in Yonkers, for actually going and videotaping the crimes and all of it, the parts that the officers wouldn't show us, the parts that we wouldn't see, the parts that we wouldn't know, so we can come to a formed conclusion of our own. And so I do see the positive, but there's also some negative with Yonkers Voice, but that's really just the community of people and the comments that they leave that make Yonkers Voice negative. But overall, it's very positive, and it does help with crime, and I'm very impressed with the room. I'm impressed with where he's taking Yonkers Voice, and I'm impressed where I think it's going. And
so just picking up a little bit on what Maddie just said, Yonkers Voice does raw news. We show you what happened, the pretty, the ugly,
the truth.
and the truth. You know, all through those three things. Then it's up to you to digest, formulate your own opinion based on what we see. We are at the scene very often, very early, where details are not fully known. So we have to go out and report what is known at that particular moment. Things sometimes do change. Okay? So I would wish that our audience would understand that. Okay, years ago, the complaint was certain news media didn't show everything, they only show certain things. Well, now you have Yonkers Voice showing you everything. And, well,
Right,
it is
right.
what it is.
So to answer your question, my opinion in violence, I feel like violence has always been here. Violence been here since America got discovered, right? And it just changes platforms and changes mask as it goes. I feel that when I hear the data, I always want to know who took that data, right? Because in certain communities, violence may have dropped down, but I know in our communities, violence is still the same, right? And it's always, the source is always the lack of programming, the lack of resources for our community. And I do want to say that, as Maddie said, I love Yonkers Voice and what they do because you cover things that Channel 12 and Files and other places may not cover, and our community goes unseen, and this allows developers to come in and gentrify our community off the perspective that Yonkers is a lot better, right? And there's still and Yonkers has moved so much forward, but we still have a lot of work to do as a community, more to say, to just catch up with everything that's going on. So I think that the violence has always been there. It just changes depending on the society.
Well, you guys also know that there is a lot of reclassification of crimes.
Right.
Well, you know, there is no reclassification of murder, but there is reclassification of other crimes. So things that used to be a crime, no longer a crime.
Right,
things
right.
that used to be these, now are that. So, and like Hector said, data is based on somebody inputting some information on a database.
Right. Right.
So, you know, it doesn't necessarily reflect the truth of
Right.
what's happening on our
For sure.
Now, from what I see is, I think the crime is the same. I don't think it really changes
Right.
in this city. It's really nothing. I mean, when you catch the sights and all that, I just feel like when people comment, it's just very vulgar. And people that, if they did do the crime, it's just out of hand. I just think, and these are some people that I know, and I look and I be like, God, this is just stuff they saying is disgusting. It's some of the crimes that people are committing. I know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to get it out, but I just feel like people just need to watch what they say on your page, because I feel like,
Well, you know, with it, my page is no different than the real street out there. You cannot control what people say. Okay, we try to control aggravated harassment, sexual tones to it. But what the opinion that people have, they have, you know, that's Yonkers Voice. We try not to censor what people say. I could delete a lot of stuff, but if it's not an intimidation and harassment, I'll let it stand. Okay?
But bro, if Yonkers Voice is supposed to be a voice of Yonkers, wouldn't we want it to be a positive voice?
No, not necessarily, because not everything is positive.
Some of the comments on your page cause people to be in fights, cause people to be hurt, and that's the thing that
Well, that
bothers me
Maddie,
about it.
that shows you the reality of what the problem might be.
Mental
I
health. The
feel-
problem is
right.
the people in the community, honestly.
Exactly.
Right, and so that's what so one of the things I stay away from comments and stuff like that because this is a new generation where videos now we can comment and we can stay behind closed doors, right? News has never changed. It was in newspapers, and then people commented amongst themselves. They didn't share what they said because they read it on the newspaper. Now we're able to kind of comment and kind of wean out, who's saying what, right? But I think that as long as you give a platform for everyone to share their thoughts, people like us are constantly going to keep pushing for the positive, no matter what, right? And we just can't get discouraged by those negative comments and stuff because you can't. There's a saying: you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar or something like that.
So, Maddie,
Yeah.
when you see negative comments about whatever, maybe that's the time that you should step in and try to put a positive spin. See, Yonkers Voice does not make the news; we just report the news. Okay? Whatever it is, it is. I know that some people are going to like, some people are not going to like. But in difference from liking or disliking, the news is what it is.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's true.
Now, let's move on to social justice and injustice in America. Not just Yonkers, okay? But let's start with Yonkers. Do you feel, any one of you feel that there is a problem with social justice and injustice in Yonkers? Meaning, are blacks treated any different than whites in Yonkers?
Yeah, it is. For instance, as you know, the incident that happened up there on Lake,
Yep.
how they bashing that boy, and then just had a school shooting,
Right.
and nobody's saying nothing about that. But I know it's up there. I know it's bad, but you shouldn't bash. You know what I'm saying? It should be the same,
No, absolutely.
equal. Everything should be equal. It was a school shooting. You didn't. Your channel didn't pick it up. Nobody's talking about.
Oh, we
nothing
picked
about
it up.
We did.
Oh, sure.
But nobody's commenting how this situation was on Lake. It's
Yeah.
wrong. I think it's wrong.
Yeah, actually, we did pick it up and we made a parallel comparison. It doesn't apply for every situation, but it applies very often to some situation. White kid goes someplace, kills 20, people scream mental illness, we need treatment, he needs to be
Right.
taken to a place for treatment. Black kid does something without people knowing the full sequence of events, what really happened, and I'm not trying to find an excuse for what happened. But a black kid does something, right away we need to hang him, he needs to be shot on sight, this and that. No talk about mental illness or the consequences that took place before that actually happened. What we see is not the problem, it's a reaction of the problem.
Absolutely.
Okay? Do you agree with that?
No, for sure. A lot of the, especially with the specific situation, it's so unfortunate. We lost a beautiful young lady who was on her way to do a bunch of positive things. I know her family, and so it was super unfortunate for that. And I'm glad the kid turned himself in. That was his best thing, to turn himself in before it got any worse. But I feel like, again, a lot of the things that happen in our community are reactions from the actions of our community, right? So if we had more youth centers for the youth to have things to do, like in school, when I was in school, it was so much different. I'm 33, but the teenagers now, their school, it ends earlier, they can't stay in school, there's less clubs, there's less money, and that's why I think it's so important for the federal government to start allocating more money towards cities like Yonkers, right? So that we can offer these programs and mental health clinics. Years ago, Astorino shut down all the mental health clinics with the promise to open up better facilities run by non-for-profits, and we never got that, And so we have, so there's a difference between mental health and community violence, because I feel like some people are just chemically imbalanced, right? And they need to be in a facility, they need to be medicated, they need that attention. Right now what we're doing is we're getting people, they load them with drugs in St. Joseph's or St. John's, and then they're out within 72 hours back in the streets.
Hector, I agree with you in one way and disagree in another.
Right, for sure.
Mental illness, no doubt. we need to have more programs, we need to have more money. I remember you on your walk to Albany, exactly to create awareness for mental illness. Not much was done, not money came in, everything's still the same. I agree with you. But in regards to programs for kids, I disagree with you. Look, when I was 10 years old, all that I thought about putting money together was to buy a bicycle. Kids today, 11, all they want is put the money together to buy a gun.
But that's because, okay, so when I was in school, we had DARE. There's no DARE programs,
But
right?
but
if we're not teaching the youth, like I said, right, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a bunch of loving relationships to create the village.
That's a
So if
beautiful
we're not teaching the kids in school a better way of life, they're gonna look to the streets for it, right?
You see, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And the number one problem and issue is that everyone still sees color. Everyone still sees race. And everyone thinks their race is better than everyone else's race. That's the number one issue. That's the number one problem. That needs to be solved.
The thing out is, people are not hands-on with the kids.
Yeah,
I
also.
I work
Right.
there. I work in the community. And nobody comes down there.
Right.
We don't know about anything.
Unless it's election season.
With it, you said it. On a nutshell, that is the problem.
Right.
It's not programs. Because let me tell you, on these last 2 weeks, we have interviewed Douglas Green from the PAL, great organization. We have interviewed Charlie Knights from the YWCA, another great organization. And we talk exactly about those things. Where are the programs, the options to keep our kids from the street? This is what Douglas Gray said. We have boxing, we have tutoring, we have baseball, we have martial arts, we have derby. What's that thing that girls do on the derby? Something?
Roller dope.
Roller derby. We, the YWCA have drums, African drums. They have physical exercise.
See, but
let
that
me
means,
finish.
but that means to activists like us, because
But-
if you look at Miss Knight just got to the YW, so it's people
Why?
in leadership, you know.
But-
It's not a lack
But
of
give-
programs. It's a lack of
give me
support from the
leadership.
family. No, the
give me a
families.
second, let me finish. So, going to what Maddie and Willie said, it's the families. I go to the PAL at 5, 6 o'clock. Yes, I do see some kids, but I could see triple of those amount of kids. And why they're not there? Because the parents do not walk through their door with those kids. So the programs are there. So they're letting video games raising kids. Okay, they're letting games raising their young kids. And when we have something like this, then we blame on the program. What about taking responsibility for not taking your kid to those programs?
Exactly.
But another thing, like I said, we got the PAL and things you just named, they're not handing pamphlets out to the buildings. Parents, they work, come home, and then they got to deal with their kids. But I feel if you got these programs, you should come to the communities, hand out pamphlets, and then that'll maybe spark something in the parents. So let me get my child up there instead of, they don't come down there. I'm down there, I work at 160 Woburn doing security. I'm down there all day. There's no pamphlets being handed out. Kids down there know nothing. So they outside all day chilling.
That's right around the corner.
And it's nothing.
I'll tell you one thing, Willie. For me, that's another excuse. Because if tomorrow the city of Yonkers decides to give a check of $100 to every resident of Yonkers and they don't put a pamphlet out, I will bet that next day you're going to have lines in front of the city hall. People have to seek information. They can call City Hall, community organization, because we all know about the PAL. I've been living in Yonkers for 40 years. I know PAL, I know Neverham community, I know YWCA, YMCA. What about taking that first step? Call those organizations and say, look, do you have anything for my son that might be this age to that age? So sometimes we put so much effort into excuses for not having done certain things, than excuses to actually seek for those information. What do you think, Hector? You're shaking your hand. Do you disagree with me?
No, I don't disagree with you. I just have a different. We could
No,
agree
no,
to
no,
disagree.
of course.
And my whole thing is that okay, so hurt people, right? So if you know, a lot of the leadership in Yonkers has tremendously changed. Yonkers was one of the last desegregated cities of the United States, right?
Right.
And so when you look at this, we're talking about the parents. A lot of these youth's parents grew up in a different Yonkers, right? So we're asking them to, and this is why it's so hard, because it really needs to be like a hands-on thing, right? And that's why I say, forget organizations, forget police, forget all this stuff, and as a community, we need to come together. We need to stop and shake each other. We need to get to know each other, right? Because, all right, so even as a mentorship, right? If a transitional from my community right now says, you know what, I served my time in jail, I changed my life, I have a good job, I want to be a mentor, he's not accepted into any, in the PAL, YMCA, in none of these because of his record, right? So now he can't be a mentor. And I like to remind people that we don't have to be part of an organization to be a mentor. You know, it takes an individual. It takes people like us to raise awareness. To like Whitted does so many events in the community, right? And his events never no fights, no violence, right? I think it was one out of the dozens, right? And it wasn't even him, you know. And no leaders in the community come and say, hey, look, I see what you're doing for the youth. How can I back you up? Can I offer you a space? Can I offer you a few dollars? What can we do to bring more youth in? You know, and so I think that's the important part. It's just like, yes, these and then the poverty level, like it's so everyone's so broke. Remember the campaign, the rent's too damn high? There was a guy running for mayor. You know, it's real. Like the rent out here, parents have to work 2 or 3 jobs. They can't pay attention to their kids. As much as they want to, they're working 3 jobs to make sure their kids are okay. So, you know, in the community, it definitely takes...
How is that making sure that their kids are okay mentally?
But they're not even all right mentally sometimes because they're overworked and underpaid and trying, you know, rents are skyrocketing. Look at Elm Street. $1,600 for a 1-bedroom for a studio.
Well, you know, I had a mom who worked 3 jobs. She went to school, but still was able to put us in programs in the community. She made sure that me and my brothers, she had 7 children. She was a single mom.
She had a support team, right? She had friends and family that can help with that.
No, my mom did. And this is where my foundation
So
and
maybe your mom seeked for those programs.
My mom seeked for those programs. She worked for Leak and Watch. She worked for West Hat. So she worked for places that actually spoke about these programs. So you're right about that. They're not putting the information out there. You're absolutely right about that. They need to do that. But it does start at home. I'm gonna always blame the parents because the children are your number 1 responsibility, and if you don't know what's going on with your children, how do you expect anyone else to want to know what's going on with your children?
So then we come to, I guess...
As a community, we all need to want to know what's going on with everyone's children. We need to take care of all of our children. We are a community. A community is one.
So we are in a consensus here. This issue, it's a complex issue. There's many factors involved. Letting people know about those programs.
I'm gonna check some questions.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just have one more
We
thing.
live streaming.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Just
checking
go on
some
your
questions.
phone. Go on your phone. Go on your phone and you can monitor.
I just have one thing to say. All right, when I was growing up out here, 'cause I lived out here most of my life, and I lived in municipal housing most of my life. Now, what municipal housing used to do back in the days, they used to have their own camps.
Yep.
They used to take us from where we live at and bring us to these, for instance, we went to the Jets program one time. We went to St. John's. We had something to do all day, you know, with the youth program they used to have in the square, we used to work. So I think they don't do that no more. It's sometimes that people need that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's a combination. Look, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, I went to cover a story, PS13. 9-year-old boy caught with a gun in his book bag. 9. We came to find out that this kid was in possession of that gun for about a week and a half. You tell me, how come a mother does not know that?
You didn't check in your child's book bag?
Exactly. Don't you check your child's book bag? Where is the homework? Isn't the homework in the bag with the school stuff? Don't you go there? And sometimes the excuse is, I don't want to invade my son's privacy. God damn it, invade your son's privacy. If that is going to save your child, invade his privacy.
Sure.
When he's 18, he moves out of your house, he's working, then let him have all the privacy that he wants. While he's there, invade his privacy. Because there is a lot of stuff
For sure.
that you can see on the book bag, how they write it, gang affiliations, things that they might be doing wrong,
Right, right.
poetry that they might writing, the lyrics, the language that they might writing. There is a lot of insight
For sure.
inside that book bag.
Yep. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Agree
And I
with
think that a lot of parents forget, you know, that they forget that that's their child and they want to be their friend, right? And we have to take that away from, you know, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm just here to make sure you eat, you educate yourself, and you
Stay
become
on the right
successful.
path, yep.
Right. And that's how I feel with my kids. Yeah, there's time for games and there's time for family time, right? But over everything, I'm here to make sure you're successful and you're an active person in the community or in the world, right? So I think a lot of our community members have to remember, yeah, maybe you've been through trauma, maybe you didn't have that relationship with your mom and your father, but you can't build that with your kid.
That
You know?
cannot be the foundation.
That can't be the
You know,
foundation, right? That can't be besties.
I have seen some, you know, like I said, kids having kids, and sometimes there is people that have kids at a very early age,
Right.
12, 13. So when this kid is 15, 16, the mother might be 28, 29, 30. So they think they pals.
Yep.
You know, they go out to hang together.
Right.
Some of those mothers or those fathers might have a relationship with the friends of their own kids.
Right.
Okay, so that's a problem right there. I'm not
Sure.
your pal. I'm your father. I'm your mother.
Exactly.
Okay. So that must be a distinction. Yes, I am also your friend, with whom you can speak with.
Exactly.
I can help you with your troubles, but above all, I am your parent.
Exactly.
But sometimes we lose track of that little thing,
Yeah.
right?
I agree
No,
with
for
that.
sure.
Is there any questions we have there?
There's not much questions. There's a bunch of like people's comments. So we have someone who said,
Who the person is?
all right, so Donna, right?
Donna who, Nolan?
Donna Nolan. She said, first off, Michael was my best friend. He was very successful and still lost his life to punks with illegal guns, which I totally get, right? So and that's the thing, you know, if the glove fits, wear it, right? So if it doesn't relate to you, disregard it, because maybe you found the formula, you know, because we're talking about individuals who have not found the formula, right? So like in my community, as I got old, my mom was my best friend. Me and my mom were super cool, right? But then I got older and I had kids and I realized, well, you know what? I want a different path, right? So it's not to say that my mom was wrong for being my best friend or something, but just at the time, it just didn't work, right? So for like, what happened with Donna Nolan is so unfortunate because there are those families out there that have it figured out, that are happy, that are united, that have been doing everything right, and someone else came and disrupted that whole cycle, right? So to have those things, like the same thing with Maryland on Lake, you know, they had their thing going on, and someone come and disrupt that. So to avoid that, as a community, we need to come together more, right?
We need to not allow violence at all.
Right. So there was this study done a long time ago in Harlem, right? It was called the Time Bank, right? And what this guy did was he went to a whole block and he went to every single person in every single apartment in this whole block, hundreds of people, and said, what do you do? What is your profession? And how much of that a month can you donate, right? And he did this to the whole block. He went back, he put everything together, and he came back and developed a bartering system. And he said, so since you're a cab driver, you can drive her kids to school. Since you're a beautician, you can cut his kids' hair. You drive him. Hector's a carpenter. Hector's gonna paint your apartment. He connected the neighborhood so well that by the end of the year, they all became self-sustainable. They all saved money because now they were bartering services. They didn't need to go to local programming. They didn't need to do things. They didn't even need police because they almost self-policed themselves. because they got so united as a community that everyone started helping each other out. Here's some sugar, here's some cake, let's make it, you know. And so that's where Yonkers originally has to end up. You know what I mean?
All right, so guys, let me just try to say here that we are having this conversation. We are also realistic. We know that crime will not be eliminated.
Right.
Killings through the use of illegal guns will exist today, tomorrow, next year, next month. What we're trying to do is minimize those numbers, reduce those numbers.
Right.
This does not include those families that are doing the right thing.
Right, right.
Those that are doing the right thing are doing the right things. We are talking about those that are not doing the right thing, the exceptions to the rule.
Right, right.
Okay? We're all realistic and we all know the reality of life. Things will continue to happen.
Right.
We need to change it. Like somebody once said, if you cannot help 100 people, help one.
That's it.
Absolutely, I love that quote.
Okay?
So true.
Help one.
One of my favorites.
Yeah?
True. Yeah.
So let's do the best that we can. Now guys, since we talk about guns, let me just mention Cash for Guns.
Tim Hodges.
Team Hodges, 377 guns. Turn your illegal gun, get $500 back. No questions asked. When you call, you get a sequence of numbers. When the gun is recovered, you call back and you get another sequence of numbers. And those two numbers put together, you go to the bank and you collect your $500. There is no questions. There is no, how you say it, legal
No
consequences.
tracking of your phone.
No tracking of your phone.
Right, right. I sat with someone who went through that process. Yeah.
So all that we
yeah,
want,
yeah, it worked.
all
Definitely
that,
worked.
all that we want to accomplish is take that gun out of the street. Once that gun is out of that street, that gun will not kill nobody else.
Right.
That's all. They're not looking to charge people. They're not looking to track that gun, just to get that gun in. So it's 377 guns. Call 914, of course. Turn that gun in. Get $500. You stay out of trouble.
Right.
You keep that gun with you. You get caught with it. There is a whole bunch of trouble. You will lose $500 plus. So stay clean. Turn it in. Be part of the solution.
Absolutely.
What's your next thing? I know that you mentioned in the beginning, but for the closing, so
And so I'm going to be having a forum that starts in June, every other Tuesday for teen moms and hopefully experienced moms in the community who want to come out and mentor those teen moms. Just to know, let them know that their life is not over. They can still go to school. They can still receive the support. They don't have to fret. I'll be providing lunch. I'll be providing whatever you guys need. We'll have a space for babies. We'll have a space for toddlers to play. Just come on down. Everything is free. It's going to be at the Power Lab, 45 Ludlow Street. And thank you guys for having me.
Whitted, if somebody wants to contact you, wants to go and see your program, where can they go? And what days?
You go, actually, I have me on Facebook. It's Whitted TheSource. I do have an event May 25th. I had to do it in Mount Vernon, the Hottest in the City showcase. We have a lot of artists from Yonkers, New York performing. So I'll be there May 25th. You can contact me on Facebook, Whitted TheSource. Instagram, the same thing, Whitted TheSource.
Hector, not too long of a closing. Anything that maybe you want to bring up?
Nah, if people know where to find me, Hector the Connector. All I have to say is get together, man. Support each other. Next time she's having a walk, if she's doing it right or
June
wrong,
8th
come
is the walk?
support his event. And you know, that's it. You know, I just think it's so important for us to come support each other. No matter what we're doing it right or wrong, come support. Help us do it right. Help, you know, mold it. Help.
Positive criticism,
That's it.
whatever.
That's it. Right, right. Be part of the process. You know, when I started the Stopandshake, everyone before starting the Stopandshake, everyone was saying we have an issue with police. We have an issue with police. They're not talking to us. They're not communicating. I started the Stopandshake, and everyone's like, "Oh, now you're a rat. You're a snitch. You know, you're dealing with cops." So you just come be part of the solution. That's it. Come be part.
You see, that's the problem. When you're trying to be part of the solution, then
That's
they
it.
brand you as this or brand you as that.
Right, right.
It's the same thing with us. Yonkers Voice is a rat. Look, guys, we have never ratted on nobody.
Right.
We just show what happens, you know, so you know what's going on. Ratting, it's something that is not in our plans. Now, I also want to bring this up to you guys. Don't forget that the bad news spreads like wildfire. If something
Right.
happens on the street of Yonkers, within 2 minutes, I know about it. Somebody will call me, somebody will text me, somebody will say something. This is happening here and there. So we're there to cover it. When positive stuff happens in Yonkers, no one talks about it.
Right.
So I don't know about it. And if I don't know about it, I cannot cover it. So if you know of anything that is happening in Yonkers, and a lot of positive happens in Yonkers, a lot of good stuff happens in Yonkers, but for us to cover it, we have to know. So if you know of anything that is about to come up, let us know. Join Yonkers Voice page, Yonkers Voice, or our group Yonkers Voice Central. Text us there. Of course, don't call today or text today, say there is an event within 15 minutes. Let us know as soon as you know, so we can put you on a schedule. And I can guarantee you that we will be there. We have been there for Maddie in her program, for Hector or all of his programs. So all you need to do is let us
And
know.
moving forward with it.
And moving forward with it. He's going to let us know when and what time and where, and we will be there. Of course, I hope you guys understand that we cannot be everywhere all the time. I also have a life. There is also other commitments that I already made before, but if time permits, we will be there to cover. So with this one, we're going to end. Thank you to Manor Bagel Cafe, located 46 Warburton Avenue. Come on down, have your coffee, socialize, make friends, and network, because nowadays it's all about the network.
Right.
So stay tuned for our next episode of Yonkers Voice, and thank you for watching. A shout out to Yonkers Voice, guys.
Yonkers Voice.
Peace out.
Here.
All right, I'm going to turn it off now.